We never thought we'd see the day where we'd have our moment to have a page in history books alongside our ancestors. It is crazy how the world became victim to a virus that snatched lives faster than we could report another case found. This is the type of stuff you only read about. Invincibility led many to believe that it can't happen to me until, well, it happened to me. And let me just be honest, I wouldn't wish COVID-19 on my worst enemy, because if there was ever a moment that I thought the devil had a hold of my vocal cords and sawed away at the thought of me ever doing poetry again, it would have been then. And that scared me far more than death. So if I could be afraid of the minor thought that I could never possibly stand on stage again, imagine how the effects of this virus shifted an entire nation. And yet still, we are struggling to bring our communities together.
We begin with that new case, the first human-to-human case of the coronavirus here in the U.S. It comes as the World Health Organization tonight has now declared the outbreak a global health emergency.
North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper announced a stay-at-home order for everyone in the state.
The state epidemiologist says we're still at the beginning of the problem.
Tonight across the nation, uncertainty, anger, and a growing level of anxiety.
March 2020. I don't think anything really could have prepared us for that.
In March 2020, the environment was, I think, a little bit scary. People didn't really understand what was going on. Schools were shut down, businesses were closed, restaurants were closed, all hospitality was closed. And so we were really trying to navigate a very, very difficult situation.
There was also a lot of uncertainty. There were folks who had financial stressors because of primary or even secondary jobs that no longer were viable.
There were communities that were disproportionately impacted by COVID-19, particularly low-income Black and Brown communities.
We saw parents trying to take on more, navigating remote learning with students and things like that. We saw kids that had their support systems, their social worlds just kind of uprooted as well.
As the rest of the world was shutting down due to COVID, we were absolutely exploding here at Loaves and Fishes.
Nonprofits were already reaching out saying that they were seeing lines around the block for their services because you had so many people that overnight had been sent home from work and suddenly couldn't afford the basics.
When the pandemic hit, everyone in Lakeview was affected because we live in a neighborhood where the average median income is about $27,000 to $30,000. Everybody were working hourly jobs. So when you're laid off from an hourly job, there is no PTO.
People who had been previous donors were suddenly finding themselves on the receiving end of food. But we also at the same time had to figure out a new, safer way of operating.
Before that stay-at-home order was even in place, we were making plans for how we were going to raise the money and how we were going to allocate it and how we were going to do it fast.
Mecklenburg County knew at the beginning that we needed to get involved in the response fund.
The early buy-in that we got from the city and the county was crucial to the work that we were able to do and sustain throughout the pandemic. It was important that we fund the nonprofits directly. They needed to be able to be on the ground serving those most in need and not laying awake at night worrying about how they were going to keep the lights on or how they were going to pay their employees.
The one thing that residents wanted here in Lakeview was their dignity to choose. We gave residents who were in need $200 in gift cards per month. That's what the foundation and United Way, the COVID-19 Response Fund, helped us do. So they was able to take that gift card to the grocery store they're choosing, choose the kind of bread they want, choose the kind of milk they want, pay for their transportation, pay for their medication, all the things they needed to help them navigate through the pandemic.
The COVID-19 Response Fund was critical to us being able to feed our community. We provided boxes of pre-packed food, new trucks to be able to distribute the food, and of course paid staff to get it out to the people. It was a lifesaver.
Over the course of the year 2020 into early 2021, the organization printed over 17,000 face shields. 10 to 12,000 shields were printed specifically with the funding from the Foundation and United Way.
We saw our community come together and respond in all kinds of ways during the COVID crisis. It wasn't just the fund. So this really was a united front across the city, across the county, and across our region. I think if we could approach other challenges in Charlotte with the urgency and the generosity that we did with the COVID-19 Response Fund, we would see tremendous outcomes.